فكذبوا فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Just a couple of announcements. On Saturday, there's going to be a Shabadari happening in the main hall. There's going to be a bunch of Urdu reciters that are going to be there. There's also going to be a kids program that's going to be happening tonight as well in the ladies' dining hall. And this is going to be night 2 of 3 for Sheikh Nabil Awan's lecture. So with a loud salawat, let's bring Sheikh Nabil Awan with salawat.
I'm in now. صلاة على محمد وعجل فرج ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته، ثم الصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين. روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين. أما بعد, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marzia, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the Shuhada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam, Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who's Rahman and the one who's Rahim. The one that has given us an opportunity once again to sit in the remembrance of Aba Abdullah. If only we understood the greatness of these majalis, of these gatherings, there would never be a drop-off after the holy month or the first 10 nights of the month of Muharram. There would be this consistent desire, this consistent passion. But if only we understood it. Because these are those majalis, these are those gatherings, وَحَفَّتْ بِهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, that the angels surround them. And they do istighfar for them until they leave that place. One of the reasons we moved into this hall is so I can see who's talking. And so I will not hesitate to call you out. Inshallah, if we can maintain some silence, it'd be great. If we still feel the urge to speak, Inshallah, there are other halls as well that people can find themselves some accommodation, inshallah, for their conversations. The reality of the situation is that the message of Aba Abdullah for us has just become a cultural tick box. It's just tradition. It's just something that we do. Year in, year out, we come, we mourn, we go home, we forget about it, go back to my life. Then as the holy month approaches again, then I begin to change my life. I start listening to the majalis, start changing. Then the day of Ashura comes, and then I go back to my life. As I said yesterday, that the tradition of the Holy Prophet says that if you're a believer, إِنَّ لِقَتْلِ الْحُسَيْنِ حَرَارَةً فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ لَا تَبْرَدُوا أَبَدًا. That's harara, that fire that is ignited in the heart of the believer is something that shall not be extinguished ever. It never reduces. It remains constant. So the fact that my passion reduces, my religiosity wanes, is indicative that in reality I haven't understood Aba Abdullah. Because if I was to understand him, the beauty of the gathering, the beauty of the message of Aba Abdullah is that even without understanding him, I shed a single tear for him. يُحِطُّ الظُّنُوبَ لِعِظَامٍ. It consumes every single one of my sins in the same way that fire consumes dry wood. But now when I cry for him, but with ma'rifah, with understanding, with knowing why it is Aba Abdullah went to Karbala, understanding his maqam as an imam and my position as a follower of the imam, then I cry for him. The narration changes. Now it says not all your sins are going to be forgiven. It doesn't say that your sins will be forgiven. Rather it changes. It says wajibat lahu al-jannah. Jannah becomes wajib upon the person. Only if he understands it. It's the same with the ziyarah of Aba Abdullah. Man dhara al-Husayn kaman dhara Allah fawqa arshih. The one that goes on the ziyarah of Aba Abdullah, it is as if he has done the ziyarah of Allah upon the arsh. It's metaphorical to explain the greatness of the ziyarah of Aba Abdullah. But it says now that same ziyarah that was equivalent to you doing the ziyarah, the visitation of Allah upon the arsh. Now that same ziyarah, you do it with understanding. Understanding the maqam of the imam. Understanding why he went to Karbala. Wajibat lahu al-jannah. Jannah becomes wajib upon you. Now you're one of those people that will enter heaven through Babul Husayn. Inna al-Husayn babun min abwab al-Jannah. Husayn is a door from amongst the doors of Jannah. Hell has 7 doors. Heaven has 8. And the 8th of them is known as Babul Husayn, the door of Aba Abdullah, where those that were the azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada shall enter. Those that volunteered in the way of Aba Abdullah will enter. Those that forwarded the cause of the Imam, that door is reserved solely for them. Because Hussein is that Kareem Imam, that Allah has given him the ability to do that which none of the other Imams have. Those of you that have been on ziyarah to Karbala, you'll see that it's inscribed in various places that Hussein, you gave everything for the sake of Allah, and in return Allah gave you 3 things. The first, shifa'a in your turba. The second, imamat in your lineage. And the third, ijabatu du'a tahta qubba. That's the fulfillment of dua, the answering of dua underneath your dome. See, when you go to Iran and you go to the ziyarah of Imam al-Rada, they say when you see his dome, you get 3 hajat that are given to you. Whatever 3 you ask, Allah gives them to you. And then when you enter the darih room and you see the darih of the Imam, and then you ask 3 more du'as of yours are accepted. Similarly with other ziyarat of the Imam. But Abu Abdullah is that Imam that they say when you stand under the dome of Abi Abdullah, next to the Dhari' of Imam al-Hussein, not 3, not 10, not 15, but however many du'as you have, as long as you stand under the dome of Hussein ibn Ali and you raise your hands and you pray to Allah, Allah will continue to give you as long as you continue to ask. Why? Because Hussein gave. Recite the salawat. Why? Because Abu Abdullah gave everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave everything. Now me and you have a responsibility. A responsibility to also take part in a journey. Abu Abdullah's journey on the Zahiri was from Medina to Karbala. But in the Batini sense, was from this earthly plane towards في مقعد صدق عند مليك مقتدر, to the highest levels beyond the arsh of Allah, where even now the malaika themselves cannot go, only the son of Adam can transverse. We too have a journey, a physical one and a spiritual one. A harakah, a movement within ourselves. Because the movement of Abu Abdullah was physical and spiritual. We too have a movement to go through. I can't just come year in, year out, listen and go. That's not the message of Abu Abdullah. If I don't change one thing in my life, I can't control one thing in my life, I can't change something to get me closer to Allah, then everything is wasted. I've wasted my time. I too have to go on a journey, a hijrah, from a state of inattentiveness, a state of sin, towards a state of ubudiyah, of worship of Allah. I need to do that internal harakah, and at times that movement requires physical movement. If I'm with someone that is taking me away from Allah, individuals that are around me that are taking me away from Allah, that are distracting me from getting closer to Allah, I need to do bara'ah from them. I need to do tabarra of them and move away so that I can transverse the realms and get closer to Allah. Every human being must go upon this hijrah willfully or be forced. When you're forced, I said yesterday, Allah says, Ya ayyuhal insan innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan. That's mankind, you are on a journey towards your Lord. Whether you like it or not, you can be as rotten as you want, or you can be as good as you want. This is a conveyor, it's going somewhere. فَمُلَاقِي, you will meet him and he will question you for every single thing that you did. For every movement of your eye, for every movement of your tongue, for every movement of your hand. He will question you for it. He will ask you why. What was your intention behind it? So I can be forcefully taken on that journey, or I can embrace the journey and take part in an internal hijrah, a movement towards Allah. And that's the message of Karbala. This dunya that we live in, it is just temporary. And it's cliche, we hear it all the time. Speakers come, they'll sit here, say, the dunya is temporary. We're like, yeah, I know, dunya is temporary, it's going to be over soon. But what do I actually do about it? The last letter Abu Abdullah writes from Karbala to the youth of Bani Hashim that remain in Medina is one line. Says, Salamun alaykum, كأن الدنيا لم تكن وكأن الآخرة لم تزل والسلام. Says, O youth of Bani Hashim, those that remain in Medina, know that the dunya is something that will be annihilated, and the akhirah is that which is eternal. But have I understood it? This world, that I'm absorbed by, the theories that govern my mind, my mindset, my world's view, that are away from the theories and the mindset that Allah has ordained for me. But in my arrogance, I think that I know best. We need to have this movement. And yesterday we gave you one hadith from the fourth Imam. Because the Imam in these days, Sayyida Zainab, the Imam, they too are on a journey. A physical one, but also an internal one. The same way Abu Abdullah, Yawm al-Qiyamah, after giving all the shuhada, one after another, he holds the 6-month-old child in his hands, his neck pierced by an arrow, he holds his lifeless body. Hawwana li al-amr, my Lord, this is easy for Hussein to bear, knowing that you are watching. Every sacrifice, they say that with every sacrifice, Hussein's face became brighter. The nur began to emanate from him, closer and closer as he got to the divine light, through tests, through trials, through tribulations. The perfection of human beings is within that. That how can I fight? How can I get through these trials and refine myself? Same way Sayyida Zainab, Imam Sajjad, they're on these trials. They're on these journeys. And me too. Each and every one of us, post the 10th of Muharram, we need to ask ourselves, until Arba'een, what journey am I on? Is it a journey backwards? Or is it a journey forwards towards perfection? And in that regard, yesterday we discussed one of the hadith of the fourth Imam. Today I want to look at another one. We entitled this lecture Throwing Shade. It's just one of those things people do a lot nowadays. But inshallah it'll become apparent. So the Imam says, ثَلَاثٌ مُنْجِيَاتٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. Says there are 3 things that if a believer has, they're the reason for their salvation. For their absolute salvation within the akhirah. They will be saved. Dunya and akhirah. 3 things. Like I said yesterday, these are very simple things that we can implement within our lives. Or they appear to be simple. But in reality, when we begin to analyze, we begin to dive into the quagmire of our souls, into the darkest realms that exist within us, it is only then we begin to become afraid. And realize that actually there is true darkness that dwells within me. But I just don't know it. What are those 3 things that will save a person? The reason for their salvation on Yawm al-Qiyamah. The first thing the Imam says is that controlling one's tongue with people and abstaining from doing ghibah. I'm going to list them and then inshallah one by one we'll go into some depth around them. The second, busying oneself with things, with works that are of benefit for his akhirah and his dunya. And then the third thing is wailing at length over the sins one has committed. Buka. Doing buka, wailing. And we'll talk about buka towards the end. And each one of these we'll look at separately. So the first one, كَفُّ لِسَانِهِ عَنِ النَّاسِ. He controls his tongue amongst the people and abstains from ghibah. The tongue of a human being is one of those things that will lead to the ascension of an individual or the destruction of a person. This tongue is the same thing that every morning it wakes up and all of the organs and the limbs of the body, it says to them salam. And all of them reply, wa alaykum salam. And then they say, listen, tongue, youth that cannot be controlled. If you control yourself, we'll all be saved from the fire of hell. But if you can't control your tongue, then if you're out of control, we're all going to hell. The tongue is the reason for where many people will end up in hell, and the reason for why many people will end up in heaven. one of the ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humiliates a person, and there are certain things that Allah uses to humiliate people. People who are just don't want to change. He says, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدٍ خِزْيَ, the one, that individual that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to humiliate. How does He do it? Says He will humiliate them through their own tongue. Meaning they'll say something stupid, and everyone will look at them and say, these people are stupid. They will just end up saying something that they don't know about, or something out of control, and everyone will turn around and go, this person's a fool. This person's a fool. He says, Allah will humiliate them through their own tongue. Because they're not conscious of God, they think in their arrogance they know more. They will say something that will cause them their own humiliation. And nowadays you don't even need to say it. You don't even need to move your tongue. Do your thumbs and you put out some stupid tweet, and then the whole world knows how much of a fool you are. It's not just like reserved. You go on Twitter, you see it there. You go on Facebook, you see, and you think, really? Yeah. And the thing is, the religion is just like one of those things, right? That every person has an opinion on. Religion, medicine, politics, there's one of those things. But there's nowhere, even in medicine and politics, but no one has this complete authority. But in religion, somehow, everyone becomes a super authority. According to me, it needs to be there. And then I can't hide my idiocracy. I want to promote it. Before, I'd be an idiot amongst 5, 6 people. But now I'm an idiot in front of the whole world. Yeah? Can I just show everyone I'm a fool? And I don't even realize it. That's the odd thing. I don't even realize what I'm doing. It's just something that happens innately. Sometimes I don't even think. Some people don't think before they speak. That's a fool. Some people don't think before they update their Facebook status. It's just like, okay, well, what are you talking about? Another way towards humiliation is obviously when one begins to reveal their secrets. What they actually are thinking within themselves, or their views on certain things, they begin to tell people about them. The sixth Imam says one way towards humiliation is to tell people your secrets. You see these things on Twitter nowadays, you guys will know. This thing, Curiosity Cat, whatever it is. And people put it on there, ask me any question. And so there's people on there going, okay, how old are you? Okay, I'll put it in there. And then there'll be all sorts of silly questions that pertain to that person's personal life. But I'm like, because it's on social media, it's just like out there, it's okay, it's fine. And a random person halfway across the world asking me some stupid question, and I'm dumb enough to answer them. Says this is one way towards your humiliation. Don't reveal your secrets. No, don't go out and be like, yeah, I used to do this, but now, Alhamdulillah, on the deen. Yeah? Well, Baba, Allah hid them from you. He was Satarul Ayub. Allah is Satarul Ayub. And then I'm just like, hey, yeah, ask me. Oh, did you used to take drugs? Yeah, I did, but not anymore. I found God. Sometimes, it gets all confused, and some fools try and find God through drugs. But, that gets really weird. But Allah hid your sins. And so sometimes, it's like, I was in Maryland, and there was a Q&A there, and someone asked, when I'm getting to know someone for marriage, should I ask them about their previous relationships? I said to them, in English, there's a common phrase that's used, and that is, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Why? What do you need to delve into the past of someone specifically? In regards to certain things, put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If your criterion is Allah, then nothing else matters. If this person allows you to ascend towards Allah, then the sisters that are talking, if you just, thank you. Please recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So I want to delve in and expose my sins and the evils of my ways to people. So that's one way where the tongue will humiliate a person, because they can't control it. So then they'll feel the need to constantly speak, even though they have nothing to speak about. But the need to speak is there, because it's part of the diseases of the soul. It's part of the diseases of the soul. That a person that doesn't know anything, certain people just need to say something about everything, even though they have no knowledge on the matter. And they have no knowledge on the matter. It's the type of person that sits in a conversation and you're talking about something complex and they're like, yeah. And they just finish, they just repeat the last word you said in the sentence to sound like they know what you were talking about. Because that's part of the diseases of the soul. That they want to be, heard. To disclose what one has or their secrets. It's not even secrets that are bad, by the way. The 8th Imam, he says that, I invite you to hiding your secrets in regards to both your dunya and your deen. What does he mean by that? You don't need to tell everyone everything. Oh, I got this promotion at work. Oh, I did this. Now I do anything and straight away I want to tell everyone on Facebook, hey, guess what I did? Yeah? Because I want some sort of verification, validation from someone else. He says, in regards to both your dunya, keep secrets, and your deen. There's certain things that a person understands of the religion that may be at a higher level than someone else. So now they maintain that within themselves, certain secrets. The asrar of Ali Muhammad. Those things an individual cannot reveal to everyone. The wilayah taqweeniyah of Ahl al-Bayt cannot be understood by everyone. You can't go to a non-Muslim or non-Shia and try and explain the wilayah taqweeniyah of Ahl al-Bayt. Because wilayah taqweeniyah requires some level of faith. Some level of iman. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has devolved certain powers to these a'immah. So it says, keep secrets in regards to your deen and your dunya, your understanding of Allah. Your understanding of the religion. It's just stay shtum about it. Because it might just be wrong. There's certain people who want to learn, and so they'll go to someone and say, listen, I've formulated this opinion. Is this correct? In line with God? And they'll want to learn. Other people will be just like, I don't care what anyone thinks, I'm just going to tell everyone what I think. It says that will lead you towards humiliation. This tongue is that thing that will take a person away from Allah or allow them to ascend towards Allah. As long as it's on the path of Ahl al-Bayt, this tongue is on the path of Ahl al-Bayt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would take a person towards that salvation. But if they're hypocrites, what do I mean by hypocrites? The Ma'soom Imams, they have the hadith from the Imam says, لَيْسَ مِنْ شِيعَتِنَا, says that this individual is not our Shia. قَالَ بِلِسَانِهِ وَخَالَفَنَا فِي أَعْمَالِنَا وَآثَارِنَا. He says he's with us. She says that they are Shia with their tongue. But their actions, their dress code, the way they speak to people, does not reflect what Ahl al-Bayt want from them. Their appearance, their interactions, their akhlaq, their morality, their worldview is not in line with the worldview that Allah has ordained. It says they're not from our Shi'as. Tell them not to be. Even the 6th Imam, he says, someone comes to me and says, there's this group of your Shi'as, they're doing this. Imam says, no. He says, they're not our Shi'as. I am the Imam of the one who follows me. May the la'na of Allah, this is the words of the narration, it says, may the la'na of Allah be upon those individuals. It says, we are only the Imams of those that follow us. So you follow us, then we are your Imams. So this tongue is what will aid someone in their salvation if they manage to control it. The second thing that the Imam says in it, and ghiba. No, ghiba is one of those things, again, it's very cliche. We hear about it all the time. But have I really begun to hate it? Because there's a transition, right, within a person's spiritual journey, which a person, first of all, sins. And they continue to do that same sin over and over. And the first couple of times they feel bad about it. But as long as they continue to sin and they keep on committing that sin, it gets to a point where they no longer feel bad about it. And then the next stage after that, and they carry on doing it, the next stage is that they begin to enjoy it. And ghiba is that thing that, it's one of those really enjoyable things. I want to hear the latest gossip about someone, the latest rumors. I'll sit down and sometimes we feign this piety. We sit down and we'll listen, right? And someone's like, you know what he did, and you know what her daughter did, and oh my God, this. And they'll reach the end of their story and they'll go, astaghfirullah, leave it. No, we shouldn't do ghiba. Because why? The nafs wants to hear the gossip. But then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, hold on. How do I take the moral high ground on this one? Astaghfirullah. Let's not do ghiba. Leave them. Baba, you've already listened to the whole gossip. So ghiba is that thing, obviously you all know, I don't need to go over it. But just very simply, ghiba is that thing when you see someone doing something bad, and it's the truth. You've seen them go get drunk or something. Or you've seen them, commit some sort of haram. You're the only person that's seen it. And then you go from that situation and you go and tell other people. That's ghiba. There's some people like, it's not ghiba, I'm telling the truth. Well, the fact that you're telling the truth is ghiba. If it was a lie, you'd be doing tuhmat. You'd be attributing a lie to someone else. So ghiba is that what you see someone do, some bad action that a person does, that you then go and take and convey to other people. You all know that. If a group of people witnesses it, then those people can speak amongst themselves and it wouldn't be considered a ghiba. What I want to focus on today, in this, at least this portion, is those people who you can do ghiba about. Well, that's the good part, right? Like, what are the people that we can? There's 6 groups of people. And I should say this as well, that the ghiba falls under the criteria of haqqun nas, infringement of the rights of another person. That it cannot be forgiven. This is one of those sins that God will not forgive. He says himself, I won't forgive you for it. You're going to go to hell. Yeah? Except, or unless, the person who you spoke bad about, did the ghiba about, forgives you. Now you don't have to go up to them and say, hey listen, I said you were a bit of a drunkard and please forgive me. No, just go up and say, listen, I may have taken part in some ghiba of you, or I may have been party to some ghiba of you, please forgive me. And inshallah the person will be gracious enough to forgive you. And not ask, what did you hear? Because sometimes we like hearing our own gossip. That's when it gets really, oh, really? What did you hear about me? Because I started enjoying listening to my own gossip. Oh, really? This is what they're saying. Okay. So they'll be gracious enough. One of the ways is you can send out a mass text to people. If I've ever taken part in the ghiba of you, please forgive me. And then people will just like sort of message back, say, okay, no problem at all. All is forgiven. And that's one easy way. Someone already started sending that text. That was quick. Alhamdulillah. So, who is it that you can do ghiba of? 6 groups. For whom there is no ghiba. The first is when you're giving advice in regards to business, marriage, something that will tangibly affect the life of a person. You have to draw that own conclusion. It can't be like, listen, I need to tell you this gossip because it might affect you coming on time to the masjid or something. That doesn't count. But someone comes up to you and says, look, I'm considering fulan as a potential spouse. Do you know this person to be a good person? And at that point, I can say to them, well, he's a good person, but, I've seen him do this, or I've seen her do this. And so you can give that advice at that point. Or in times of business, I'm thinking of going into business with this guy. You can be like, listen, you may not want to go into business with this guy because the last 10 of them have all filed for bankruptcy. So there's certain serial con artists that we have, even within our communities. But, so you've got at the time of advice. So you can do riba there of someone. The second is when you're defending the aqa'id, the religion. Defending against a bad aqa'id. Someone comes, preaches some deviancy. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a scholar. Someone can just, tweet it or put it on Facebook, or someone with a really stupid opinion that is deviant and is away from the religion. So then what you can do at that point is then raise up and talk to people about it, like avoid this person, or a speaker comes and, at that point then you can raise a voice and be like, look, this person said this, it's causing a deviation. But first of all, you need to be sure that it's a deviation, okay? It's not like, according to me, your opinion. No, you have to have a sound understanding as well. The third place that you can do riba is when you're giving testimony in court. Yeah? Any court. You can do riba. Yeah, I saw him kill her. It's pretty straightforward. Don't hide the fact there. When you're highlighting the dhulm of a zalim is the next one. Don't be like, we shouldn't really speak bad. No. He's a dhalim. He beats his wife, for example. Or this country bombs another country. They're doing dhulm upon another person. So highlighting the dhulm of a person. The fifth is a fasiq, an open sinner. Someone who doesn't follow the religion openly. So there's certain things in the religion that are wajib, but they don't do it. They don't do it. Yeah, whatever that is, anything in the wajibat of the religion. Yeah, from salah, fasting, all of the hijab, all those different things, beard, all these things come under that furu'. Someone who's openly, a fasiq is someone who openly goes against it. Says, like, this is openly sinning, so it's like an open sinner. So the riba of an open sinner in regards to their open sin, jaiz. Or someone who makes a fake claim, the last group, someone who makes a fake claim to be an authority in something. Yeah, so someone comes and says, oh, you know what, actually I'm an authority in, philosophy. Or I'm an expert in the field of cardiology. And then someone goes and searches them on LinkedIn and is like, actually, not really. And then at that point, in order to save people from that physical harm or spiritual harm, a person can do their riba. So, can I just ask everyone to sort of move closer, so everyone that's trying to come outside, oh no, they've all walked away. Put them on the spot. If just for safety purposes. So, the tongue is that thing that will help a person ascend or drop a person to the depth. How do we save ourselves? Take silence as your friend. Silence is that thing that will exponentially increase your growth towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Silence is one of the doors of wisdom. That if a person accustoms themselves to not saying much, I'm not saying like Hazrat Maryam, I'm never going to speak again. I've taken an oath, that's haram, you can't do that. But just reduce the amount that you speak. Just try and control, and it will help you in all facets of life. The second thing in this hadith that we're looking at, that the Imam says is the reason for the salvation of an individual, he says that busying oneself with works that are in benefit of the akhirah and the dunya. He says busy yourself in things. Because idle minds are the devil's playground. Now if I've got nothing to do, then I start, thinking that what I'm thinking is like really important. And then I start formulating opinions and things like that. So utilize your time to better yourself. But when you're bettering yourself, make sure that it's aiding you in your akhirah. That doesn't mean I don't get a job and I sit on the musalla all the time. No, going out seeking your halal rizq, actually being truthful to your job role, this is ibadah. It's aiding you in the dunya and your akhirah. You're going out seeking your halal rizq. Chasing that sustenance, but not letting it be the be-all and end-all of your existence. Go out, do some charity work that will help other human beings. And will also not only help you in this dunya, but will aid you in the akhirah, because your scroll of deeds will never close. As long as someone benefits from that water well that you built, or that fruit tree that you planted, they will continue, you will continue to reap the benefits of it. Focus on your own self-improvement. What are the things in my life that I'm falling short on? And how will I improve them? I have this disease in me. I have this problem. I'm always angry, proud, jealous, whatever. I need to focus on it. I need to find the causes. Another way is for the dunya and the akhirah is to train our children in the correct way. Because the fourth Imam, when he speaks about in Risalat al-Huquq, in the treatise of rights, when he speaks about the right of your child, he says that the right of your child is that you should know that they are intrinsically linked to your akhirah. Their success means your success in the akhirah. Their failure means your failure in the akhirah. So put all your effort into training your children. Says make sure you put full effort into training them to stay upon the deen. And that can go in different ways. Like bringing them to the Husayniyah. Then when I brought them to the Husayniyah, don't let them run riot. Sit them next to me. Hey, listen, Salatul Jama'ah is going on. We're praying, you stand next to me. Teach them tahdhib of the adab of the majlis. That this is how you sit. This is how you stay quiet. You don't talk. You don't do this. This is the majlis of Abu Abdullah. It is our yaqeen. We have a hadith that say the Imam of our time comes to these majalis. That say the Zahra comes. Don't sit in this way. Don't talk in this way. Don't act in this way. Make sure you understand the greatness of where you're sitting. This is salah. Make sure you're coming and you're standing next to me when I'm praying. Don't be running around the halls. Start to train your children. Why? Because they shall be an amana for you into the akhirah. If they remain upon the deen. I just no, they're like, if I make them do things, they're going to turn against me. In this day and age, you can't. No, Baba. The deen, when the children of Bani Israel started going astray, Hazrat Musa went to Allah, I said, Allah, what do I do? These kids are going off the rockers. What do I do? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Musa, turn your home into your qibla. Make your home your qibla. That focus on your children, keep them home. Make that place a home of religious inclination. Not that they go to the masjid, or they go to the Sunday school, and then before it's the time of dhuhr, yallah, come outside, let's go. But let them pray dhuhr. Why don't you come in and pray with them? Yeah? Instead of bringing them out before the time of salah. No, I've got to go do the shopping tonight. How else do you expect to train them? If I cannot embody the teachings of Islam within myself, then we're going to have generation after generation of murtadeen, people who are left the religion. I'm not even going to say liberals, it's worse. People who are super left the religion. And this isn't here, just on the west coast here, go to other places. I went to a community where they had no youth. They had no youth. Or everyone was sitting on chairs. Not because they wanted to, but because they couldn't sit on the floor because they were so old. And the hall was empty. Where are your youth? I don't know, they don't want to come. Later on I found about 80% of them were atheists. They'd left the religion. Understand the religion yourself, then impart that upon your children in a firm way. Not forcing them. When I say firm, that there are no parameters. These are the parameters of Islam. You operate within them. Even when we have this hadith, 7 years, let your children run riot. 7 years, train them. That's 7 years of they are the king or the prince that the Imam says. That's still within the parameters of Islam. It's not like, hey, listen, you can run riot and, just go around and, pull down your trousers in front of everyone at the masjid. It's okay, kid, No, there's parameters. We have to define boundaries. Yeah, so training your children for the akhirah, making them understand the importance of the majlis, importance of the deen, recitation of the Quran. Who's going to recite over your dead body when you're 6 foot under? We're going to try and look for some poem. Listen, my kid can't recite, so let me go and pay some Maulana. Can you just, my dad kicked it the other day, and could you just recite Quran for him? Because it's just the situation that we're in. It's the reality. People may find this harsh, but it's the reality. And we're on a downward slope, and we need to change it. If we don't change it, we're not going to get out of this rut. We're just going to get worse and worse. So training our children is work for both the dunya and the akhirah. Helping another believer, aiding another believer. They say the moment a person makes the intention. Now listen to the words. Says a person makes the intention, just thinks about helping another believer. Just makes the intention. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders 75,000 malaika to come and encircle him. Come and encircle him. He hasn't done anything. One sin is forgiven. One good is written. One level in the akhirah is raised for every step that the person would have intended on taking to help another believer. It's not necessary that he reaches completion. Someone asked me, can you help me, do something? I go, I make the intention, but something comes up. I can't stay the whole time and help them. But I went with the purest of intentions. It says, even if the act does not complete, Allah will reward you its equivalent. It was just for thinking about another believer. Then just imagine, if that's for one person, what about the person who thinks about his whole community? What about a person who thinks about the betterment of their own community? How is it that I can improve my community? No, it's not my problem, someone else's. Maulana Abdi will deal with it. Yeah? That's his problem. No. What is the result of, because many communities were destroyed, and many believers were destroyed amongst the communities. Hazrat Shu'aib, when his people are destroyed, or Ad and Thamud, when they're destroyed, when you look at the story of the she-camel of Nabi Salih, it says what? You heard in Surah Al-Shams before. فَعَقَرُوهَا, they killed her. But the sixth Imam says only one person killed the she-camel of Salih. But why did Allah say they killed her and destroyed the whole nation? It says because the rest of them stayed quiet. The rest of them stayed quiet. It says it's not my problem. It's not my problem. Hazrat Shu'aib, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Shu'aib, I'm going to destroy your nation. And with them I'm going to destroy 80 something believers as well. He says, Ya Allah, makes sense, destroy the kuffar but the believers? He says, yes Shu'aib, they stayed quiet. They didn't try and do amr bil ma'ruf. They didn't try and help their nation. They just stayed quiet. What is the result of a person that cares about their nation even if they're not saved? I just did my own bit. Surah Yasin. وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Says a man came running from outside of the city, said to his people, O people, obey the prophets, the 3 prophets that went to the city of Antioch. Says obey the prophets. The Tafasir say his name was Habib Najjar. He goes out, says look, listen to these prophets, stop trying to kill them, listen to what they have to say. They turn around and they kill him. Habib Najjar is killed. He's killed. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? We're talking about the result of a person. He had the intention to help his community. He wanted to better them. He wanted to better them. Didn't reach the end. He was killed before he could guide them. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ Says, you Habib Najjar, you enter straight into heaven. No questioning for you, no munkar and nakir for you, no fishar qabr for you. None of this. You enter straight into heaven. Why? Because you cared about your people. And what does he say to show his level? قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِي يَعْلَمُونَ How I wish my people had just understood what I was telling them. That's what it means to have the pain of your community. So the second thing that the Imam says that will help a people towards success and that salvation in the akhirah is busying themselves with works that are aiding their dunya and their akhirah. And then the last thing that he says وَطُولُ الْبُكَاء عَلَى خَطِيئَتِهِ And a person that does buka, excessive crying over their sin. The sixth Imam says, I desired the illumination of my heart, the nur of my qalb. Says, and I found it within buka and tafakkur, within wailing and pondering, within wailing and meditation. Amongst the signs of the believer is وَبُكَاء مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ They wail out of the fear of Allah. By wailing, I mean they cry loudly. It's not crying, it's buka with a voice. They cry loudly. Sit alone, ponder over your existence. See what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Think about it. And think how He continues to bless you and how I continue to disobey Him. How I continue to forget Him. He continues to remember me. I continue to forget Him. كأن لي التطول عليك As if He owes me a favor. دعاء افتتاح. Says as if He owes me a favor. ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك عليه. Says I've been audacious in my ignorance. I've shown the world how ignorant I am. I didn't care. I just went out, openly sinned. I did dhulm on myself. But it is only your constant remembrance of me, that's this constant mercy upon me that allows me to exist. It is only that which will allow me to continue. So when I sit down, I ponder. Allow the tears to fall from my eyes. That is one of the signs of the acceptance. Those of you that are going on ziyarah of Abu Abdullah or any other ziyarah, one of the signs of the acceptance of your salam and your ziyarah is that tears will fall from your eyes. When tears fall from your eyes, know that your Imam has said to you, wa alaykum salam. Tears falling from your eyes is a sign of the acceptance of your repentance and the forgiveness of your sins. Tears falling from your eyes is a sign of the acceptance of your dua, that Allah has heard you crying out to Him. But in order for those tears to fall, I need to soften my heart. Soften my heart. How do I soften the heart? Through fasting. It's one way. Through fasting. Reducing the amount of meat that you eat. These things will soften the heart and will allow a person to do buka. Buka from what? From my sins. I'll only be able to wail when I actually recognize that I've committed a sin. If I'm just like, I did astaghfirullah, it was, should be okay. No, it's not. The tears must fall for your sin to be forgiven. And if you can wail thinking about those, cry loudly thinking about those, that is the sound that is loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I can do that, when I can humiliate myself in front of Allah, only in front of Allah, then He will give me izzah over all other things. Everything in existence will bow to me if I truly bow to Allah. everything will yield to you. As long as you yield to Allah. That is the requirement. Yield your heart, your soul, your body towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا. To the extent that my words and my actions become intertwined. And my very existence becomes a constant servitude to you. Yield to Allah and the whole world will yield to you. Bow to Allah and the hearts of the world will bow towards you. They will fall in love with you. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سيجعل لهم الرحمن ودا. Says those who believe, do good actions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall create a love in the hearts of people for them. 3 things that I've given you that are the reason for the salvation of the believer. The first is controlling your tongue. Being able to control it. Take it as a challenge. Take it as a challenge. I just won't talk to the person next to me for about 50 minutes. Just as a challenge. And then you'll also be doing me a favor as well. Just for 50 minutes. Yeah? Just, I won't talk to the person next to me. I won't do ghibah of anyone. One day I'm going to try. When I try it for one day, then it's contagious. I'll do it for 2 days. The second thing is busying myself with works that are for my dunya and akhirah. Analyze my life. Can I have this dual purpose, 2 birds, 1 stone type of deal? That am I doing it? Because it's fine. Work smart, not hard. Certain things that I'll do that will help me in the dunya and in the akhirah, no problem. And then the third thing, wailing at length, pondering, crying at length over the sins that I've committed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that last point can only come with ma'rifah. It can only come with ma'rifah. Many people may be sitting here thinking, what a load of tosh, I don't know what he's talking about. Wailing at length, but that will only come with your ma'rifah. When you incline yourself towards Allah, Allah will incline you. All buka is makruh. All buka, all wailing is not allowed except at 2 places. One, out of the fear of Allah in remembrance of my sins, and the second, upon Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Why? Because Hussein gave everything for the sake of Allah. Everything. I said yesterday that what musibah does a person recite? The ayyam of the shahadat of that 4-year-old daughter of Abi Abdullah are passing. That daughter that was known as Sakina, the one that is that peace for the heart of Abu Abdullah. That daughter of Abu Abdullah that from the time of Asr of Ashura, just before her father goes out, she runs out to hold on to her father, says, Ya abata, istaslamta lil maut. Says, Father, have you given yourself to death? And he says to her that, my daughter, how can one not give himself to death when he has no one by his side? Hussein's Abbas is gone. His Ali Akbar is gone. His Qasim is gone. This 4-year-old daughter, you hear in the maqatil, she holds on to the legs of the horse and she's talking to the horse saying, don't take my father. Because whoever has gone since this morning has never come back. And Abu Abdullah holds his daughter in his hand and says, don't cut the heart of Hussein, for your time to cry will come. Sakina, your time to cry will come. Don't cry while Hussein is still alive. What does Abu Abdullah means as Sakina? Shami Ghariban is still to come. They'll set fire to the tents. Your clothing shall burn and you will run out. This daughter of Abi Abdullah on the night after Ashura, the night of the 11th, what amount of dhulm befell this girl? That clothing is burnt, ears are damaged. A 4-year-old girl, how much dhulm does a 4-year-old girl, how is she able to bear such dhulm? They say when the head of Abi Abdullah was taken on that day of Ashura, the women of Ahlul Bayt were kept in Karbala. The head of Abi Abdullah was taken by Khuli ahead to Kufa. By the time he reached, the palace of Ibn Ziyad was closed. So he took the head of Abi Abdullah home. And he took the head and he placed the head of Imam al-Hussein in the tandoor of his house. And he got into bed. His wife woke up. She said to him, Khuli, where have you been for 3 days? Where have you been for 3 days? He says, don't worry, it's not a matter that concerns you. Go to sleep. She falls back asleep, he falls asleep. A short while later she wakes him up, tears in her eyes, says, Khuli, tell me, what is it that you did? Where is it that you went? He says to her that, why? What is it to you? She says to him that, tell me, why is it that Zahra keeps on coming in my dream and crying and saying, what did my Hussein do to you, Khuli? Why is it that Khuli took that which he took from us? Says, Khuli, what have you done? He says, we killed Hussein. Says, where is his head? Says, I brought his head, it's in the tandoor of the house. Says, Khuli, then what is it that Zahra says that you took from Ali Muhammad? What is it that you took? He says, under the pillow are 2 earrings. Under the pillow are 2 earrings. Says, Khuli, where did these come from? He says, when we started setting fire to the tents, a young girl came running out and I saw 2 earrings in her ear and I thought that I wanted them for our daughter. I said to her, remove your earrings, give them to me. She was young, she was afraid, her hands were shaking. I told her, take them out. Her hands were shaking, she could not remove them. I was impatient, she was afraid. I moved forward and I pulled the earrings from her ear. This daughter of Abi Abdullah, dhulm after dhulm after dhulm. That until she reaches Sham, and that night she sees her father in her dream. And her father comes in her dream. She wakes up from it, begins to cry, I want my father. The news reaches Yazid that the daughter of Hussein has started crying. All the women are crying. He says, take them the head of Hussein. They bring the head of Abi Abdullah on a tray. This is a 4-year-old girl. I just want you to imagine this. Understand this. A 4-year-old girl. They bring in a tray her father's head on top of it, but they cover it with a cloth. When they come in with that head, she turns to her aunt. She says, oh auntie, I said I wanted my father. I don't want to eat. I don't want food. When they remove the cover from that tray, she sees the severed head of her father. She runs towards it. She holds on to this head of her father. She begins to kiss it, begins to recite her marthiyah. أبتا من الذي يتمني على صغر سني أبتا من الذي قطع وريدي. Father, tell me, who orphaned me at such a young age? Father, tell me who cut the veins of your neck? Father, tell me who covered your face and your beard in your blood? Father, tell me, why is it that they did this dhulm on you? She says, أبتا ليتني كنت عمياء ولم أرى رأسك هكذا. Father, how I wish I was blind on this day, that I would not have seen your head in such a state. She lays down with the head of her father. The narration says she begins to whisper to her father. She places her lips on the lips of her father. Father, we came from Karbala, they would beat us. Father, they set fire to the tents. Father, every time we would cry for you, they would whip us. Every time we would cry for you, they would slap us. Father, no one was whipped, no one was slapped more than my auntie Zainab. Every time they would want to slap us or whip us, our aunt Zainab would stand in the way and say, don't slap the orphans of Hussein, slap Zainab instead. The child continues to talk to her father when shortly the voice of her father comes, says, Ilayya fa ana laka bil intidhar. My daughter, come to me, for I've been waiting for you. The child falls silent. Imam al-Sajjad comes towards his sister. He sees the girl aside on one side, sees the head on the other side. He goes to wake up his sister. The moment he touches her, he cries out, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of these tears, because Hussein, the one who sheds tears for the madhlumiyat of Abu Abdullah, his du'as are accepted by Allah. I don't know who's come with what troubles, what difficulties, what sorrows in their life. Everyone has their own problems. But believe me when I say that you have come and left your problems and mourned for the son of Zahra, Zahra herself will aid you in your difficulties. Ya Allah, for the sake of these tears, Ya Allah, forgive our sins. Ya Allah, forgive the sins of our parents. Ya Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Ya Allah, give us all the tawfiq to be able to fulfill the haqq of our parents. Ya Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Ya Allah, those who are in education, make them successful. Ya Allah, keep safe the Shia of Ali Muhammad around the world. Ya Allah, destroy the enemies of Azadari around the world. Ya Allah, keep safe our ulama and our maraji and keep them at the head of our institutions. Ya Allah, guide our youth to true Islam. Ya Allah, bestow upon our elders that waqar and sakina, that honorable self. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time, and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhirin, his true waiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any of the du'as that the brothers and sisters have brought. Please recite 3 of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein.
बाबा तेरी सकीना हर जुल्म सह चुकी है बाबा तेरी सकीना हर जुल्म सह रही है माँ फातिमा ज़हरा की तस्वीर बन गई।